Welcome to Entrepreneur State of Mind. I'm your host, Dr. Dale Caldwell, and we have an extraordinary entrepreneurial educator on today, Karen May. Karen, welcome. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Excellent, excellent. And so, Karen has an international presence, has a deep passion for young people and people who are dealing with special challenges. And so Karen, as always, we like to start with people's origin story. So where were you born and where did you grow up and go to school?
Okay, so I was born in Jamaica, in the hills of St. Andrew, and I went to high school in that area, Oberlin High School.
Okay.
In the area.
Okay. And then college and...
So college was in Kingston. I went to Michael Teachers College to do my diploma in special ed.
Okay.
Then I did my degree at the University of the West Indies, and I did my master's with Nova Southeastern.
Nova Southeastern in Florida.
Yes.
But
it was a long distance, so the lecturers came to Jamaica
to do
the courses with us.
Interesting. So now, how did you get into entrepreneurship and education? How did you start the program that you originally started?
I actually went into teaching after leaving banking after my mom died. It was something I've always probably wanted to do.
Okay.
So as a child growing up, my dream was to either be a teacher
Right.
or a pediatrician.
Okay.
I couldn't afford to go to the university to do pediatrics, so I settled for teaching. The best decision I made anyway.
Right.
Because I've always wanted to work with people with disabilities from age 7.
Right.
So that was, I know it's my vocation, my calling, my hobby, my talent, my gifts. And yes, so I went into that course when I decided to start a career.
Excellent. And so now, how did you get to the UK and how did you start over there? Talk to me about that process.
Okay, so after being teaching for a number of years, I was very disillusioned with the system.
Okay.
I've always wanted to start my own business. So I thought a change of scenery just to see what happens in other countries with special education would be good. So at the time, the US and the UK were trying to recruit teachers from Jamaica.
Okay.
I attempted both of those, but
Right.
I didn't like the feel of it. So I decided to do it independently. So I registered with a few agencies and I had a telephone interview. And 5 minutes after the interview, I was offered the job.
Wow.
And I went to the UK into a teaching job, worked for about 9 years, and then started the business.
Okay, so you learned, and that's such a great way for entrepreneurs to really start out, understand what's going on in the marketplace already, learn the trade, and then you get a good sense of how you improve upon it. What were some of the in the special needs, and for those that may not know, so special needs these are students that were on the autism spectrum, I suspect, and students that had multiple disabilities. Is that what kind of special needs did the students have?
I work with all a range of disabilities, so sensory disabilities, so visual impairment, hearing impairment, cognitive delays, global development delays, autism, Asperger's, profound, so young people who had a lot going on, paraplegic, cerebral palsy.
Wow.
I think I've met them all.
Yeah.
I've done the feat.
And this is really, it's particular. I'm president for 21 years now. I've been president of the largest special needs school district in New Jersey, the Educational Services Commission in New Jersey, and you see these incredible young people, and they're the most vulnerable children in the world. And that, the old saying that a society is measured by how it treats those that are most vulnerable. Well, in a lot of places, we're not doing a great job. We're not really doing that. And so why it's wonderful to meet someone like you who's kind of taking the bull by the horns and saying, hey, I'm going to figure out a way to do it better. I'm going to figure out a way to help these folks who are often forgotten to do better. And so what was the premise as you started this school? And the name of the school is what again?
Well, it's Abilities Development Limited.
Okay. Okay. Abilities
So that's
development.
what.
And what kind of students are in the program?
So I work with young people who have finished formal schooling. So they leave school at age 18.
Okay.
And once school ends for them, most times there's nothing for them to do. So they tend to go home, sit and vegetate, or they'll probably go to a normal college,
Right.
normal, but then they still struggle.
Right.
So our services provide a real holistic program for these young people. And we work with people from age 18 as far up to probably 55, 60,
Wow.
doing different things with them, making it quite personalized, but also very meaningful. Um, One of the things for me that has always been a bee in my bonnet is the tokenism. There's a lot of tokenism in society. It's almost like a checkbox, a tick box. You know,
Right.
we have done this, we have done this, but
Right.
there's no real expectations of people with special needs.
Right.
It's almost they're already given self-limited beliefs by society,
Right.
and the society plays it out for them. So it's you can't be anything because you have a need, a special need, or you have a disability.
Right.
And that's what we aim to change.
Yes.
We aim to make sure that they are seen as human beings, treated as human beings, and being invested in. So
And,
yeah.
and the reality is that many folks with special needs and are better workers actually than other folks. That
Yes.
actually that a lot of folks on the autism spectrum are more focused, they're more dedicated, they're more detailed, they're more consistent. So society needs to stop writing people off. And so really needs to understand that everybody has capabilities. And so
Yeah.
Now, do you help them with job placement? Do you provide kind of job skills training and those types of things?
We do a bit of skills training. However, what we've found is quite difficult to get them into jobs, because, again, the limiting resources that are available, even for employers, it's quite hard. Because we also work with a lot of young people who are learning disabled
Right.
and labeled learning disabled.
Right.
So whilst we know that the autism spectrum is quite wide and you have
Right.
the high functioning,
Right.
our service work with the ones who are less able to function cognitively.
Right.
So that adds more complications to getting into the workplace, because then there are high behavioral issues. There are issues with a young person just being able to function on their
Right.
own, even with just simple instructions, so they'll always need to have somebody literally with them.
Right.
So that also adds a lot of limitations to what can happen. What I would like to see is one of the puppet in the society as well, is the
Right.
fantasy world for people with disabilities,
Right.
just going into the workplace, doing what they can do,
Right.
and just being appreciated for the little they can do.
For
But
whatever
it
they,
builds their confidence and as a citizen.
and their value as a human being, their value and the other thing is we need to talk about, and I know at our commission, the teachers are the most dedicated teachers in the world, and these folks are, and it really pains me when I see other teachers and other educators complaining about little things. When our coffee break isn't long enough, we have to do this. And these teachers, when you have kids with multiple disabilities, if the young person moves their finger like this, that's a successful day. That's something right,
yes.
right. That just something real little,
Yes.
and they don't understand. And so we need to do better. Now I'm curious about the contrast between the UK and the US as far as funding and others. Are you finding that both countries fund these at an equal level, or is there a disparity? And we know it's not enough, but is there a big difference in funding and support for special needs students?
From what I've seen so far, yes, there is a vast disparity. The UK has a really good funding system. I think we're really blessed in the UK, and I should go, for the UK. So the funding streams are easily accessible, and they are funded for as long as they live.
Right.
For certain things. So for education, they're funded through the education system up to age 25.
Okay, oh, really?
However,
Okay.
after that, social services steps in and funds their services that they need.
Right.
Over here, so far, what I've seen from the little research I've done, it seems like the young people have to jump through hoops
Right.
to get anything after a certain age. You know,
Right.
the funding seems quite restrictive or restricted. So yes, I think there's a huge disparity. I now appreciate being in the UK.
Well, yeah, how good it is
the
in the
funding
UK.
and the ease of getting that. So yeah.
Well, and again, it's one of the things that you know, I say that, again, obviously I'm a big believer in what I call democratic capitalism. And the idea of democratic capitalism is for small businesses and entrepreneurs really drive the economy. And that's why I do this show and other things. But we have a plutocratic capitalistic system where the big companies control government, basically. So what you find is, you know, the United States is the richest country in the history of the world. And yet, how can we let a UK beat us in dealing with the most vulnerable? And so that's one of the things, and it's not conservative or liberal or Democratic or Republican, it's just the right thing to do. And so one of the things that we're trying to push is really, and so in the commission that I'm leading, we started at 21 and over. They'll fund up into age 21. And then at 21, parents, the good news is that your young person is graduating. The bad news is you don't have the kind of support that you had before that. And so we started a 21 and over program, but we're having trouble getting the funding necessary to really make it work. And so that's something that most people don't know about. And so I know you are looking to expand your program here to the U.S., and I'm trying to help as much as possible. Yeah. But it really is frustrating that we don't get that kind of support. And you're starting to really see that now.
Yes. And that's extremely critical because the level of resources that you need to ensure that these young people continue to grow and develop and expand is you need a lot of resources.
Yes.
And it's not just about the materials, it's about investing in the workers who support them, so the teachers and the care workers, and getting them properly trained and looking about their well-being. Because I think a lot of people forget that it takes a huge toll on the workers.
Yes.
And most times it's a 24/7, 365 days of the year job. Not to mention the parents,
right,
who I think are kind of left after a diagnosis to just get on with life.
Right.
And yes, again, the tokenism of, we're offering a little bit of training here and there.
Right.
But I think parents need a lot more support, just in being able to realize that their child is a human being with a lot of potential.
A lot of potential.
And if we can start there, right, I think it would make a huge difference.
Absolutely.
To how the young people develop.
Absolutely. Yeah. So Karen, we're going to take a commercial break. We're going to come back in a minute to Entrepreneur State of Mind with Karen May and really talk about her program to help students with special needs.
Shelter dogs aren't broken. They've simply experienced more life. If they were human, we would call them wise. They would be the ones with tales to tell and stories to write. The ones dealt a bad hand who responded with courage. Do not pity a shelter dog. Adopt one.
Say we've got grit, and we'll take it as a compliment. Because it's our uncommon drive, our spark within, that brings us together and sets us apart. We are temple made. And when others take shortcuts, when others take breaks, when others take the easy way, we take charge.
Add us on social media to watch bloopers, behind-the-scenes footage, previews, and more.
Welcome back to Entrepreneur State of Mind. I'm your host, Dr. Dale Caldwell, here with Karen May, and we're talking about providing more comprehensive services for special needs students. She has a incredibly successful business in the UK, looking to expand here in the US. And so, if people want to check out, what's your website, Karen? What is your web address for them?
It's abilitiesdevelopment.com.
Okay. Perfect. So abilitiesdevelopment.com. So check that out and really look at that. And so, before the break, we were talking about parents, and I know, obviously, I interact with a lot of different parents, and many of them feel very lonely. They're dealing with some challenges. They're dealing with economic issues. They're dealing with childcare issues. They're dealing with emotional issues. They're dealing with all sorts of things. And so, what have you seen? Or what does your program do with parents, and what have you seen that should be done to really help parents deal with the challenges of having a special needs student or child?
Okay, so our program, because we started age 18, we focus quite a lot on the young people, firstly. But one of the things that I've learned, and we've been operating for 12 years, I learned early on when we started the business to embrace the families as much as we embrace the young people.
Right.
And I've seen significant changes in how the young people have blossomed, just because the families are now more positive, more confident, more reassured that, we are doing the best we can to help these young people to just function at a higher level of being a human being in society. Right. So we work very closely with our families. We tend to become everything to them. So we're therapist, counselor, doctor, nurse. Right. So we're kind of their first protocol when something goes wrong, or they're just down. So just a live, a real time experience I had since I'm here. One of our clients passed away in Sri Lanka last year. He went on holidays, and mom was really distraught. And I hadn't seen mom since he died. And last week, week before last, she called. She went to the service. She was looking for me. I wasn't there. And she asked us, could we do a memorial for him? And for us, that was like the given anyway. It's something we would have wanted to do. So we went ahead and we threw him the best tribute memorial party. Oh, wonderful. And the family was just over the moon. They were like, this is the best thing. They'll never forget it. And for us, that's what matters. Making families realize that they're not on their own. We're here to support not just the young persons, but themselves, to be able to manage, because we know it's difficult, it's hard. And I have a young man. My nephew's son is disabled. So I know what that feels like as well. So I do approach doing business with my personal experience to make sure families are supported. So every now and then, on this is, Entrepreneur State of Mind, and I like to come up and throw out some ideas to some of the guests. And so as you're talking and thinking about our own experience, it'd be interesting to have a video, kind of a video program, to almost have a commercial for parents to see their students while they're alive, to see some of the almost, because you can make things really, really beautiful and really wonderful, but to almost have a video for parents to see the wonderful things that their young people, even if it's just moving a finger or doing stuff, and and have music. I don't know, does anybody do that? Because knowing the parents, it is such a difficult thing for parents to deal with, and it's a depressing thing, and it's an emotional thing, and anything that will make them feel better about what's going on could help. Have you done that, or have you heard of anything like that, kind of those kinds of videos? We do a lot of videography and photography of our clients participating in the activities, and we do share them with the families, and yes. The smiles on their faces when they see it is just, it's so fulfilling. For me, at the end of the day, that's what matters. So we do capture a lot of that. And one of the things we're trying to do is to start creating profiles with photographs, videos, and share it with the families. So that's like a keepsake for them, so they can just go back to it and see how the young person has grown as well.
Perfect.
over the years. Yeah.
That is so important, and that's more important than ever. And so, what do you so parents, maybe they've just had a child and they find out the child has special needs. Where do parents go in the UK or here? Do you have any advice for them? I mean, how do they find programs like yours, or who do they call? Is there an easy service that you know of that they can reach out to?
In the UK, there are early intervention services. I guess
okay.
each local authority does it differently.
Right.
But I worked for about 3 years with a local authority as an advisory teacher, and what I used to do, we had sessions with the families.
Right.
So they would come into my classroom and I would teach them how to work with their child.
Okay.
So it's really hands-on. They would see how we do it. We'll give them opportunities to practice it. And then we just share, what's going well, what's not going well.
Oh, right.
That was profound.
Yeah, absolutely.
So to see a child who's not walked for 2 years, never walked in 2
Right.
years, never made eye contact with the family, and within 15 minutes he was making eye contact with me.
Right.
And the mom was just weeping. And that just in a year he was walking and getting ready for school.
Wow.
So that's really
amazing.
phenomenal. So they have services in the UK which are easily accessible.
Right.
But most of it, again, as I said, it's about the child, not the parent.
Not the parents.
Here in the US, I'm not very sure. I'm still trying to do my research on how early diagnosis and then intervention for parents works. Because that's something I'm really, really big on. I think that's the most critical part
Absolutely.
of the journey.
Absolutely.
Getting parents settled, knowing what to do, not going into depression, because then that's the hard part of getting out of it. So yeah.
Yeah, and they're as the ESC&J, and so they can Google the Educational Services Commission of New Jersey. New Jersey is known as having among the best resources in the country. A lot of people move from other parts of the country to New Jersey certainly on the autism spectrum, and so New Jersey has the highest rate of autism. I think it's one in the United States. Partly is because people move there. But I want to go back to an important point you had, because people will look at this and say, well, how do these teachers stay motivated? They must be depressed every day and sad and seeing that, but they're motivated because of the improvement, because they're able to see when you see a kid that's not moving at all and they do this pinky thing, there's an excitement. And so that wouldn't you say that's what keeps people going, is to really see improvement? Is that how staff stays motivated?
Yes, because there's nothing else to motivate you, really.
Right.
And you do get a lot of flack from society. Even the parents themselves can become really hard and harsh.
Yes.
So as a worker, you just have to have that clear vision. You have to have the heart. In the first instance, if you don't have the heart for it, it's not going to be something you're going to do and enjoy and keep motivated.
Right.
So you really have to have the passion. But just seeing them smile, a little smile, or them just coming up and hugging you just for no reason, as you say, seeing that pinky finger move and the eyes twinkling, it's just, it's out of this world. It's really,
it really is, and it's you have to almost experience it to really understand how powerful and that kind of breakthrough that's important. And the other thing that's important to say is that sometimes these young people are violent. Sometimes they're angry, and so sometimes, especially the teachers, especially the women teachers, many of them aren't big. They're small, and so there's some danger in it as well. So and again, so much. I often say that sometimes society is topsy-turvy. You have these teachers and social workers who are really low pay relative to folks on Wall Street who move money from here to make $1 million. And so I think we need to really, as a society, understand and celebrate entrepreneurship in all its forms and fashions. So I'm really appreciating all that you're doing. And so and you still have the business in the UK, right?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Okay, and you're going to continue that business, and are you looking to expand that business? I know you're looking to do some things in the U.S. Are you going to do anything different with your UK entrepreneurial endeavor?
I'd like to expand, yes, in the US, but I would like to focus a lot on early years as well. In the UK, we're not doing early years at the moment, but part of my passion is starting at the early years. As I say, just helping parents to have a dream, because I think a lot of parents don't have a dream for their child. It's just about surviving and getting from one day to the next. And I think if we can get parents as motivated as dreamers that their child can become someone in whatever shape or form that looks like, that's a key to moving forward. So that's one of the things I'd love to do here, and then replicate what we do in the UK with the older young people, just getting them producing, doing business ventures with them. So some of the things we do back home, they create things, they do floral arrangements and we sell them,
Wow.
T-shirts.
Wow.
So we get the practical things done,
Right.
and then try and get people to support them doing it alongside all the other activities, enjoying music, going to the cinema, playing bowling. So we really try to make it as holistic as possible, capturing all the different areas, that they can grow in. So yeah, that's
Wonderful.
That's my ambition.
Well, Karen, you're at the end of time. This 30 minutes goes by so quickly. Could you give your website once again? What website, if they want to learn more about abilities development, what is the website?
So it's www.abilitiesdevelopment.com.
Perfect. Excellent. Well, Karen, I really enjoyed this discussion. Continue the wonderful work that you're doing to really make life better for so many people. And just thank you for being on the show. And
thank you for having me.
Yes. Well, this is great. And I want to thank the audience for watching Entrepreneur State of Mind. We will see you next week.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.